This is a special report from Fox 35 News, tracking the tropics.
What's going on, everybody? Fox 35 Storm Team Meteorologist Noah Bergen here. Thanks for checking out our tropical update on our website, fox35orlando.com, our news and weather app, also our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching on there. Don't forget to subscribe. And also, if you're watching on our Fox Local app, that's the app for your TV, we appreciate you watching on there. You can catch this tropical video each day natively in the Fox Local app for your smart TV. All right, let's get to the tropical update on the 16th of September. Well, my friends, two things. By now, I'm sure you know everybody under the sun predicted an extremely active year. Well, we're about halfway through. What's the takeaway, the status report? Well, it hasn't been as active as I would say the consensus of the forecast going into the season were through this point. But it's been very impactful. We've had multiple named storms and multiple hurricanes already landfall. So it's kind of a unique year in the sense that, and the raw number of named storms is below where it was expected to be at this point. Still plenty of season to go. Obviously not rooting for anything. I'm just telling you the sit rep of where we are. Below average, I'd say, through this point, given all the forecasts for named storms, but in terms of hits to the U.S., certainly above average. Latest impact today was a non-named storm. This produced significant rain in North Carolina. In fact, up to 20 inches of rain just on Monday. You see there from Oak Island to Wilmington. This was from a system that was thought it could have become Tropical Storm Helene, but in turn did not, because it did not have tropical characteristics fully in the eyes of the National Hurricane Center, and therefore they kept it as a non-tropical low. So that means Helene did not form, and we will now await the H-named storm. But you can see what I mean. Despite the number of storms being a bit below what was anticipated, it's misleading in that regard because it's been above average in terms of hits to the U.S. through this point. You see all of the storms so far in 2024. Here's a different way of looking at it. By maximum intensity and how long in duration they were, you see A, B, C, D, E, F, G, which is where we are right now. And again, the next name up is Helene. So, tropically speaking, this is the only system actively ongoing. And the good news about this one, which is my favorite type of storm to report on, is it will impact no landmass, just the fish and a couple of transatlantic ships that go through that part of the ocean. So the H-named storm is next, Helene, then Isaac and Joyce. Officially, the next 7 days, there are no areas of new development potential yet. That will probably be changing soon, and the area we'll see something outlined is going to be in the Western Caribbean for next week. South of Cuba, east of Cancun and Cozumel, and that'll be possibly something that comes into the Gulf of Mexico. So one way to look at things long range is to use what's called the Ensemble forecasting method. So you've probably heard, obviously, the Euro GFS, Bureau GFS models. But the Ensemble, in the case of the Euro, is we take the main model and run it 50 different times, different ways too. And then we take the mean of all that. You might be asking, why do we run it 50 different ways? Well, we do that to account for error in the atmosphere. So we tweak the initial conditions. So the model takes the radar and the satellite and a whole bunch of other things of what's actually going on Earth right now, and that's hour zero of the model, and then it runs forward and calculates from there. But we tweak all of the initial conditions up and down to account for error, and then we get a wider array of outcomes. That said, this is the mean of all of those models, and right now we've got a little bit over a coin flip odds of tropical development in the Western Caribbean next week. I don't want to get anybody worked up yet. We're not talking specifics. I'm not even going to show you the actual raw models yet, because I don't think it's fair to show the deterministic models, meaning the actual raw model output that far out, because they change violently each run. They run multiple times per day. But this is my personal, just hand-drawn graphic. This is the area I think we should keep close tabs with, and so you are aware, we need to watch for tropical development next Tuesday to next Friday, so the 24th of September to the 27th. Any time of the year, especially late September or October, if we're talking about a potential system in this area, more times than not it's going to develop, and more times than not it's going to have the potential to become a hurricane. Now, whether this thing goes towards Florida, Central Gulf, goes into Mexico, I have no idea yet. Several models do spin up a hurricane out of this area, bringing it to the Gulf towards Florida. What I can tell you for sure is that if something were to form, it's going to move north. The steering flow next week will not send this east of Florida or due west, and bury it into the mountainous terrain here of Central America. It will either go north, and then slightly northeast towards Florida, or northwest. So it's going to drift northwards if something formed. It's not going to miss Florida to the east, and it's not going to go due west from where it would form. One reason why to watch this, water temps are still really high. In fact, they're 80 plus the entire Gulf still. 85 plus a good part of the Gulf, and this is actually some of the hottest water in the entire Gulf. We can display that with what's called the ocean heat content. This takes into account more advanced meteorology of the depth of the warm layer, meaning if the warm layer is shallow in the ocean surface, there's less ocean heat content because a strong hurricane can suck all of that heat out of that narrow layer of water. And then once that's gone, it upwells and moves up the cooler water beneath to the top of the ocean, and then the hurricane can't strengthen more. So if the warm, really hot water, it's above 26 Celsius or about 84, 85 Fahrenheit, that's about the threshold. If that extends in the average layer, it goes down deeper, that's how you get more of this. There's a few other things that get factored into this that are really inside baseball, but I'd say that's the big thing and the easiest way to interpret it. And you can see where this thing would be tracking. There's top of the chart level heat content, so it bears close watching. So again, middle to end of next week, let's keep an eye on the Western Caribbean into the Gulf, Floridians, Gulf Coast. Could there be a system or a hurricane? Yeah, I think there could be, but whether it forms or not, no idea yet. We're way too far out, but the pattern looks a bit favorable, even at this early point. So, rest of the season, what are we talking about? La Nina's influence will grow, which means less wind shear over the Atlantic. Wind shear means the wind pulls apart hurricanes and they fall apart. So less wind shear means more favorable conditions for tropical systems. We'll have that all the way through November. The Caribbean should see some waves pass through it and form in it, which is typical for the time of year, and the water temps remain at or near record highs. So you put all three together, I still think we'll see several more hurricanes in many more named systems the end of September through October, maybe even into early November. So that's the next thing to know about. Other than Gordon, which is a fish storm for this week, things are quiet. And then again, we're going to keep our eyes down into the Caribbean for next week. Well, let's see what happens. We've got plenty of time to track it, but it certainly bears close watching as we start to get a little closer and get some better data on what, if anything, may come out of that hypothetical system. So for right now, thanks for watching. I'm Fox 35 Storm Team Meteorologist Noah Berggren.